The snow covers everything. You feel the cool breeze on your cheeks, and you sense the overwhelming solitude of the Nordic winter. Welcome to a primitive camping adventure in Finland. I'm heading out into the forest to look for a shelter that my brother had left there. I carry my gear in the most convenient way, dragging it lightly on the snow with my little sled. The snow is packed hard, so hiking is easy, and I don't have to worry about getting wet shoes over time. I found my brother's simple shelter near the edge of a field. I'm curious to check it out and see whether it's ready for camping or if it needs a bit of an upgrade before I can settle in. This shelter is pretty good already. It's been built of the dense branches of a large fallen spruce tree. It definitely protects against wind, but the roof and walls are slightly too thin to stop snow and tougher winds. Before I get too cold from standing still, I'll take a look inside and decide what to start working on first. Enough of the house tour, time to get to work. I grab my axe and start gathering much more of the dense branches. The objective is to make the roof and walls as thick as possible to make the shelter warmer and cozier in all ways. There's plenty of material around here, even though most of the larger branches have already been taken when the shelter was first built. Because I usually stick to using dead materials only, this surely is a luxury when it comes to shelter building. The branches are green, but the tree is fallen, so no damage is being done here. Live branches provide significantly more structure and coverage compared to dead branches. All the needles or leaves are what makes the big difference. The temperature right now is fairly warm, just a couple of degrees below the freezing point, but at night I expect much colder weather, because the sky will clear up according to the weather forecast. The night may reach absolutely freezing temperatures of down to minus 15 Celsius or 5 degrees Fahrenheit. In such a case, the shelter is of vital importance, because my sleeping bag is rated for only minus 7 Celsius. The shelter and its thick walls will actually trap in a lot of heat and allow the ground to warm up the shelter. Not so much, but surely enough to make a very noticeable difference in temperature. So let's keep on building so we don't freeze our toes off tonight. It is a strange feeling. No wind, no sounds. Sometimes silent birdsong in the distance. I'm truly all alone here. Peaceful, yet haunting in a way. Everything depends on me. Everything is in my hands. And everything is my fault. Or my win. This feeling really brings us back to the primal reality of life as a man. It's up to you. This backside of the shelter had some gaps in the wall and overall a thin layer of branches, so I made sure to pile on as much twigs as possible. I notice the weather has changed a bit. It's getting colder and the snow is starting to fall. Enough building for now. The shelter is getting fairly good. I want to show you something. Here are all of my stuff, already covered in snow. I have a bow and arrow with me, and along with that, an archery target that doubles as a super warm sitting pad. Whenever you go out, it is good to have several uses for large or heavy items. I'm getting cold immediately after I stop the constant work of chopping and carrying branches. Maybe it's because I'm doing the no hat thing to show off my cool Viking hair. Either way, it is time we build a proper fireplace to stay warm. I have a couple completely dry pieces of firewood with me, The entire forest is frozen, so this makes setting up a fire much easier. The logs will burn hot, so that any wet firewood will start burning, and I can enjoy a strong, sustained fire rather than spending a lot of time on getting it started. All the logs and the branches I find here in the forest are cold, damp, and covered with a thin layer of ice and snow. That will melt easily once the fire is big enough. Night is falling. Before it gets too dark, I bring as much firewood to my camp as possible. I cut it up and lay it onto the fire, or place it nearby to warm it up eventually. Some logs have quite a thick crust of ice on them, so I have to chop it off with my axe. This is not for the faint of heart. I think if I didn't bring my dry logs with me, I would still be blowing on a smoking piece of damp tinder. But here we are. The fire is warm. Heat is returning to my feet and hands. This is another item that has a double function. My wool cloak obviously can be used as a warm cloak to protect the head, neck and back from the cold, but I will also use this as an extension of my sleeping mattress. I usually fold it to achieve 3 layers of extra wool underneath me. That's a lot of added comfort and, most importantly, insulation. Vital when camping in winter. Tonight I'll spend a cozy evening by the heat of the fire, cooking beef on a steak. I sometimes imagine myself being a warrior out on a quest in faraway lands, finding shelter along the road, eating strong meals, staying vital, sharpening my discipline, awakening my spirit. And you know what? Maybe I am on that mission right now, just in a different way. The surface cooked, smoked, and still quite raw meat tastes excellent. I cut it up with my sharp knife and can immediately feel my energy being restored from such dense nutritious food. I always make sure to get high quality meat. It can be eaten raw. It has more vitamins, better protein, and just tastes amazing. Raw or cooked, both work for me. After eating, I enjoy a few moments by the fire, then crawl inside my shelter and prepare for a hopefully not too cold night. Morning dawns. The night was cold, minus 14 degrees Celsius, almost as cold as my maximum estimate. I've slept well on my sheepskin, pile of branches, and my triple layer folded wool cloak. The shelter definitely held in some of the warmth of my body and the ground that radiates heat. Well, calling it heat is a bit too optimistic. Either way, it's definitely a couple of degrees warmer inside, as the warmth doesn't radiate directly up toward the open, cold sky. The most challenging part is to gather the courage to get out of the sleeping bag. Inside, it is warm, but my body is actually cool from adjusting to the temperature in order to save energy. As I exit my sleeping bag, I immediately feel the chills. I gotta start moving and get my fire going. I do have my hat on now and a double layer of wool sweaters. That's quite warm as long as the wind is still. I take a moment to absorb the view and energy of this glorious morning, the sunny, frozen landscape. Such a sight rekindles something in man's soul, the will to go on an adventure, to face the challenges of life, the beauty of everything. I know that the more I focus on staying strong, achieving my goals, the more powerful will this feeling of beauty and peace become as well. I believe you will find your peace, but not by sitting around doing nothing. That only works if you decide to renounce your life and go live in a monastery, which, to be truthful, also sounds quite epic. The fire is going, I'm comfortable. Now it is time to cook a hearty breakfast, consisting mainly of eggs. The eggs are almost frozen to the core. They have a strange consistency, but as they warm up, they cook just normally. As I eat, it is still so cold that I have to keep my gloves on. Maybe my fire is not big enough. My butt and back feel warm though, as I sit on my archery mat and soft sheepskin, so all is good. I will now show you my simple archery mat and how it works. Let's get to shooting. I just poke a stick into the foam target as shown. Now it's quite steady. Then I take it out to the field and prepare to not lose too many arrows. I remain humble and keep the target quite close. In this way I don't lose arrows. The bow I'm using is quite a powerhouse. 60 pounds is almost difficult to draw because my body is not fully warm in this open, cold weather. The arrow pierces the entire target, but stops at the end, so they are easy to find and collect. In between shooting rounds, I have to stay warm. I have to warm up my hands right by the fire. If I didn't have a fire, this type of winter archery would be nearly impossible. Shooting with the thick gloves on is not really an option for me, as it would be quite awkward to grip the bow. I'm quite happy with my precision so far. I've hit nearly every single arrow, not in the middle, but still on the target. After several additional rounds of shooting, I start packing my things up. I do all that right by the fire to stay warm. Then I say farewell to this cozy shelter and head out to the snowy landscape with my sled. Thanks for watching this adventure. I hope it has inspired you to get out there. Now stay tuned by subscribing to see the next video. See ya.